Last episode, we built an MCP server, a real one, running on your local machine, exposing tool, speaking the MCP protocol, and at an end of the video, I left you with a cliffhanger, like the server existed, but nobody is talking to. And today we are going to fix that part. Today we are going to connect that our MCP server to the OpenAI. And here is the crazy part. This process will be just couple of lines of Python codes. Yeah. So the actual integration will take just couple of lines of code and then you will be ready for this. So hey everyone, welcome back to the series. I'm Nitin Kumar, and in this series, we are building AI agents from scratch. So first understanding the concepts and we are writing the code. So in last episode, we have already explored about the tool calling, MCP agent, and like agent loop, and how to build an MCP server. But today we are putting all the things together. By end of this video, you will understand how OpenAI talk to the MCP server, how your own MCP server connects to OpenAI, and how one agent can use multiple MCP servers, and why this changes how we build an AI. So let's jump directly. Before we touch the code, let's understand the architecture. There are three pieces. First, your Python scripts call an OpenAI LLM, and second is the OpenAI API, and that's a sort of a new part because OpenAI is going to as a MCP client also today. And third is an OpenAI server, maybe something like let we will use for our demo DeepWiki. It's a remote public MCP server, reads GitHub repos. We will also show how it's very useful to get insights from your GitHub repo. And third one is like something we have created our server in our previous episode that has something like calculator, capital, and weather tools. So we are also going to use this R server. And in the end, we will integrate both servers like MCP servers to into our OpenAI, and that's how it will work. So let's understand first couple of things. So let's before go to the demo, let's understand what is DeepWiki. So it's a real MCP server that is actually running, and it's run what it do. It's read your GitHub repo and explore about it. So you can ask the question without copy pasting the code. And it's a remote MCP server. It doesn't run onto your system. It's run onto the server. So same sort of a protocol, same tool list, tools, calls, just over the internet instead of on local host. That's the one beautiful thing about this thing. Why we are going to use the ngrok? Let's say you are running your own server that we have created in our last episode. That was running onto your some into your local system, and we have one OpenAI tool is running. And if you want to use this MCP server that has four tools, so accessible by this OpenAI, this is running on internet, but this is running on my local. How to connect these things? So for this part, we are going to use the ngrok. It's simply very basic sort of a library or setup or setting infra, whatever you are called. It's something the tool that acts for our MCP server through the ngrok tunnel to a public URL. So it's great. Okay, now I have the public URL that is running on, and now on this URL, my OpenAI, GPT, Claude, anyone from internet can access my this MCP server. That's the simple idea of ngrok. It will create a public URL in a simple language. So to get access from the internet. Very simple, very basic one. And now let's connect the OpenAI to an MCP server. So this is the responses API we are using from our starting. And here, when we pass the tools, instead of passing the tool name, if you are using the server MCP server OpenAI, we just write the type MCP server URL. And if you want to go more authentication, you can add the approvals, but let's say require approval for our demo, let's say never, and ask the question. So that's a simple integration, very minimal code. You just added these three lines. Type is MCP, server URL, and approval. That's it. That's the simple part. And how does it work? So now you have your code, Python code, that will send a request to the OpenAI infra that has the MCP client plus agent loop. You don't need to write the while loop. That's the agent loop we explored in our, I think, sixth episode. You don't need to understand this one. This handle internally, as I mentioned earlier in the episode. And this is your server, can be your local server, can be your DVK, or can be other server. So this server, now if you send this request, uh, this will go to the OpenAI. And if OpenAI need to access the tool, they will call the server and get a response from the tools, integrate into the response, into the loop, and respond the final answer to you in a very simple language. So you are not building an MCP client. You are now outsourcing in a simple language. And now I'll show you two ways. So one is simple using the agentic agents SDK. So that is running on MCP on your simple on your machine that you are using by our fast MCP. We launch into our system. No ungrok, no public wire, no tunnel. It's easy for like when you are running some POCs demo, but when we go to production level system, we need to go in more advanced setting. So we will come to that part. But let's explore the code. Let's go to the code and see how these things work. So this is my code here. The simple same how we are importing the OpenAI key, and after importing, let's if I pass my server, let's say the type is MCP as I mentioned, and server level deepwiki. What is deepwiki? Deepwiki is if you go to this repo, GitHub repo, you will get an idea. This is an open source library for GitHub, Gitpilot, Bitbucket repository. So you can get a lot of insights out of your repo by this MCP server. And this is the URL that I'm using. And as I mentioned, authentication. So I will ask, okay, list all the available tools and a little simple question, but it will say, okay, uh, instead of direct asking question, it's not replying. But because the loop is running internally, but can I get sort of a because I have responses in my list, I can get an information out of it. So let's say if I ran this one and I have this question, so this I created as a function where all this information are in, and my input will be the question that I'm going to ask it. All the same information, but I created as a function. Now I ask this question: what tools are available in the DeepWiki's MCP server? After listing them, use the most appropriate one of to explain how DeepWiki works. Now, if I fire this query by using the server use, the function I defined, I got the response. Now let's inspect it to the response. So when I am going output, I'm just seeing the response dot output, and I am typing, I am checking what is the type, and I am printing the output. So now it's a MCP tool. First is the MCP list tools. It give me the list. So one is read only, get a list of documentation topics from the GitHub. Then it is different. This one, view documentation about the GitHub repository. Other one is here. Ask any question about GitHub repository, get an AI powered context grounded response, and so on. So I got all the tools available on this MCP server. And then this is the type reasoning. This is the MCP call. This is again the response because it's doing my answering my question. And again, there are multiple steps that is running. So you are just printing everything step by step how it's running. And in the end, you got your answer. This one. So now I got my answer. I can access the Wikipedia wiki server by the wiki name, list wiki structure, retrieve the contact of the repository, most appropriate tool to explore, all these things. It gave my final answer. But now let's see, I just want to see, okay, MCP tool list, what are the tool discovered simply? I just want to show. And what are the MCP calls it does in the process when I ask the question. This on the top question, same question, I am just taking the same response dot output. And again is the what is the message I am getting it. So iterating all these things. So now if I run it, I see the tools are discovered. These are the tools I got it from here. So if you can read the simple description of a tool, this part, you can idea what each tool is doing on that server. What is the task it attached to? And if I am checking, okay, what are the tool called? So these are the tool called while answering my question. These are the tool call happen. Okay. And now if I see, okay, my final answer is I can access three deep wiki MCP servers. This is the information. How does it work? So it gave me the final answer like this in format because I said in the last, give me the content content0.txt. Very simple, easy, nothing fancy, simply, and does work. So now I want to do more into it. Instead of it, I said, okay, I got a lot of answer. But let's just understand the MCP calls and all the tool name, argument, what it took, and what is the state of. So here it is. So the tool I called is like tool name is read wiki structure, and this is the argument. Takes this architect, this sort of a GitHub or the repo name. And then second is like read wiki structure. This is the second wiki it took because in my response it said I got three wikis and to understand the answer. So it was this where it is. Yeah, I can access three wiki deep wiki MCP server. So now it's extracted all three. So this is also MCP deep wiki, OpenAI deep wiki MCP, and read structure of this answer. So all this open links it caught from my search. It understood the structure of my wiki, and now based upon this structure, it gave me what are the tools it called. Now I just want to understand, okay, what are the MCP list tools? It sort of a discover. We can just understand how to discover the tools. What is that? So this is sort of a tools. Most of the time, it ran into the read wiki structure because I simply asked what are the structure of my MCP deep wiki. Simple. Now, okay, this is fine. I am just calling any some random uh, server random MCP. Now let's do something more fun. What I am taking my one GitHub repo, and this is the server that we already gave, and I asked this query: explore the GitHub repository that is the link of mine repo. Tell me what problem this project solve, main components or modules, tech stack used, and suggestions for improvement. When I run this, surprisingly, because I'm not exploring all the tools, call everything, we already understood from the top. Now just say what is the response I'm getting out of it at the end. So now when I saw the response, it's pretty surprising because you see, it understood all the problems that I try to solve through my the agent that I built on my repo. It said what problem the project likely to solve, main component. There's a front-end UI, there's a back-end UI, symptom intake processing, tries and knowledge base, ML act, artifact logging, unit test, DevOps, deployment, and all the typical tech stack like Fast API, Flask, NLTK, CI/CD testing, all the things what I have used in my repo. It's just neat or cleaned way. It's prepare a very simple one pager. What it does, what is the tech stack, and more interesting part, it analyzed the my whole repo and gave me what are the suggestions for improvement. Clinical safety validation, highest priority, privacy, explainability, testing, evaluation, all the things, UX improvement, model cycle management, all the things I asked, very detailed, it gave me the answer. I have not written any single function, single line of code to get this information. The magic is happening because these are the functions or tools available on the DPT MCP server. Very interestingly. Now, okay, you said, okay, things are fine. That is good. But more simply, what I am doing, I am asking some question, let's say this, and I am giving me this MCP server detail, open MCP that I'm using, and I'm asking some question. Very simple. It's replying something. What language is OpenAI? This repo, OpenAI agents Python. Repo written. Mostly it written in Python, so it can give me the Python version. Very simple, basic intuition around it. So he said, yeah, require Python 3.10. So very simple thing. It analyze my repo code and all. Now let's move to the next part. Okay, I used very simple. That's how I understood how is my any running server, running MCP can be integrated into my OpenAI. You can see just few lines. I would say just three lines. These three lines is required to do this stuff. Very easy. Now you must be wondering, okay, Nitin, we know, okay, you gave me some example of BPK, some open MCP server and integrated Python. Very easy. It's running on internet. Maybe they have some existing connectivity and something. That's why it's working. So where I am going to use my server that I created in my previous class. How I am going to use my MCP server into this OpenAI setting? That is the fun, interesting question to answer. Now, the as I mentioned in start, if my MCP server is running, how can internet or OpenAI know, okay, this server is running it? That is the first question we need to solve or we need to answer. So for that part, we are, as I mentioned, we need the ngrok. So that's how we started our MCP server. The Python same package. It's start running in. So simply working on it. It's accepting, okay, everything is working fine. Nothing. You can simply see this URL. If I just simply say this MCP URL, let's see. I have not explored this thing, but let's see how does it work. So if I just say the server, okay, notes a client must accept text event something. So JSON RPC because it's a client, it's a protocol. So let's see how first this is the same code we have explored in previous episode how to create a useful server. Very simple. It said not acceptable because we are running on a browser. Now let's see how we are going to use to expose our server for open internet to creating a something some global URL. Very simple. So for our purpose, we are going to use the ngrok. So ngrok, if you want to explore, I have already shared. There is a website of ngrok. You can understand all the concept of ngrok, but just see ngrok does it. So what the simple change I did. So because like now ngrok will listen to my local MAC, but it will try to access what port I am using. It listen based upon the port. So I first change my the port. That is most important. So we did this part in 8, and that was a useful server. And if you see the very first thing, we change this part. So we are running the MCP.run, but now we need to create the transport is using HTTP and the port is 8000. So my this MCP server is listening or accepting all the requests from the port number 8000. Very easy, very simple intuition. Nothing complex, no fancy stuff. Now, okay, my 8000 is running good. Now, how ngrok can provide me the global URL for my local running? You mostly aware with this localhost 8000 that is running from my local system. Now, by using ngrok, if I simply run this ngrok command, and what you need to do, you just need to set up the ngrok. You just need to install the ngrok, and ngrok is pretty good enough this website. So you can just directly go and simply you just install it by this, create a this token. So definitely I will close this now. So authentication and everything, I just run this command, and by running this command, you will get your URL. Simple. Nothing complex, nothing fancy. After this, your ngrok that is listening to 8000 will convert into this URL that I got. So this URL, whenever you ask something, I will pass this URL that is my internet URL, and whatever it's come to this URL, it will pass to my localhost 8004. This is the backend infra it's running. It's a sort of a different engineering that required for how to scale it and everything. But in a simple fashion, now I created this what is running on my this system will we get access through this global URL. So whatever I will ask from this URL on internet, it will map to my localhost 8000. So instead of local port 8000 for my MCP server, I will pass this URL in a very simple manner. Now let's see how does it work in the code. Now come to part. So this is the URL. I set up the ngrok URL and I created the OpenAI client that we were creating from the start. And let's say this is the model just for the change. We are using 4.1, nothing, no reason behind it. You can use 5.1, anything. And MCP server that we are building. And I said my server. You can say your server and good server, happy server, anything, let's say. And this is the ngrok URL you pass with MCP/MCP. That's the thing you need to do. That is very important. You need to add this string or after your ngrok URL. And then recover and you can ask any question. What is the weather in the capital of France? So if you remember, we created a tool that has the capital and information, every detail. And if I run it, simply now it will go to my first. It's here. You will see. So it's redirecting. So okay, redirecting. It's working and redirecting, and then based upon redirecting, it reached to my MCP server, and there must be some logs. Yeah, it's got. So it's redirecting, and then all the logs my server was executing, and now I got my answer. Simply, very easy. Nothing, no fancy, no huge line of code, very easy. Now, okay. Now you must be wondering, okay. So Nitin, I know how to use the any open DPK MCP server. I know how to use any something like you can say my local server. So is this the only way? Like I am using only one at a time? Can't I use both together? Because one MCP server that can explore my GitHub, one MCP server I want to sort of give the access to my the code documentation. What are the requirement? I got it from the documentation, or let's say for our cases, this DB access where we have the tickets and everything. So can't we integrate both? We can. Very easy. Nothing to do, nothing too fancy. So this is the simple code that we can use it, and this is this simple line. So you can pass any number of tools, any number of MCP server like this. So this is my one MCP server. I can add my this MCP server. So now let's add it. So I have my, let's say this control C. I have this wiki, and let's edit this. So now I have my second MCP server. So let's run it. Will that work? So this will take time because now it will go to first deep wiki, explore all the tools and all, and then if needed, it will use my my local MCP server. But now I want to learn about the model context protocol. So mostly it will not go to my local server because I'm not asking that the question. The reason behind it, both the deep wiki is real production sort of production grade of system, but for our purpose, we built a very uh, basic MCP server that is just to show the demo, like get the capital with the fake data. But we will explore the real data also. But this is not giving error. This is still searching. And yeah, I got the answer. I got the answer. So this is the way I can integrate any number of MCP tools in my OpenAI client. Very simple. An OpenAI client handles the loop and everything internally. We don't need to do. So that's the beauty of this MCP servers and the things we have explored today. So hopefully you have learned lot of the concepts, like how to sort of a tool calling, agent, and building an MCP for a server. Now today we have focused about how to connect everything together. And now we have one server, one protocol, multiple servers, we can say, multiple server, protocol, and agent, and sort of a working integration. And that's already enough to build surprisingly powerful system. Now you can understand my local system can access databases, files, and everything. I can use an OpenAI server like MCP server. It's good. But we are still missing one thing: the production, the real user, authentication, security, deployment. And that exactly what we are going to do in the next episode. Server built, agent connected, and now that makes the things real at a production grade thing. And we will learn this thing in next episode. Hopefully you have learned something today in this episode. And if you are loving this series, please like the episode, subscribe to the channel. And yes, as I always say, when you are learning or watching this from these videos, try to write the code, run the things from your end. If you are facing some error, and whatever your feedback, just let me in the comment so I can work on it. I can improve it. If something needed, you are facing some issue in installation, connection, and all. So that's how I can fix on it. I can work on it. So Write your comments on the videos so that how can I make it better. And yeah, keep learning. Thank you. Bye bye.